Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 60, Talkoffamepod podcast with your host, Kylie. I'm so excited to have on founder of GirlLife Empowerment, author and host of Empowering Her podcast, Melody Pourmoradi. Thank you so much for coming on, Melody.
Hi, Kylie. Thank you so much for inviting me on your amazing podcast. I'm very excited to be here.
Thanks so much for coming on. So you are the founder of GirlLife Empowerment. What made you want to empower and start that?
Yeah. So, Kylie, when I was like around your age and even younger, I really struggled with anxiety. I really overanalyzed everything that was going on in my life, what people said, how people made me feel. And I was really having like a lot of stomach pain. I started feeling uncomfortable in my body as a result of the anxiety and difficulty in my life. And so, when I started to learn about all of the tools that live inside of me that would let me actually heal and feel okay with what people thought of me and let me like live in a more peaceful way. When I finally discovered that, I wanted every young girl to also know that even though she may experience anxiety, there's also this beautiful power source that lives inside of her and that can be used to her advantage in every day and in every moment. So that's one of the big reasons why I started GirlLife.
Oh, that's awesome. Like I have like very similar to that also because I grew up with anxiety my whole life and depression. So I really connected to what you said before. And so like when I was a little kid, I never kind of understood what like being a girl meant in this world. Like I never kind of understood since I was a young girl, so I didn't really understand that. And so like as I grew up, I kind of realized I never saw myself in the world. I never saw myself on screen. I never found a place in the world, and I kind of like this didn't find a place for me. I didn't feel comfortable be myself around people. And so like I kind of like and I'm a twin sister, so I was kind of always being a judge for who I'm related to and people being fake and this all those kind of things to grow up as a teenager. And I'm like, well, I don't want to be known as a twin sister. I want to be known for who I am, not for me being related to my brother. That's like that because that's something that like people sometimes are basically known for. People are like be like, oh, you're related to this person. That's pretty cool. And if you really think about it, it's annoying. Like you're just like, I don't want to be known for that. Like I want to be known for something else and for something I do, not for what my brother does. And so that's like something I was like, once I kind of thought about it during quarantine, I was like, I don't want to be known for being my brother's sister. I want to be known for doing a podcast, being in the entertainment industry. So I'm like, let's do that. Like, let's see how much it would change things. Like, if it doesn't, I don't really care as long as I'm happy with what I'm doing. Then that's really all that matters.
I really want to applaud you, Kylie, because it's so amazing to have that level of awareness, right? Mm-hmm. To be able to say to yourself, like, I want to have my own voice and I want to be independent. And it doesn't mean you don't love your brother. It doesn't mean you don't want to be his twin. It just means that like you're ready to differentiate and pave your own way. And I honestly feel like it's meant to be that you and I are speaking because I have 15-year-old twin daughters. So I didn't know that you were a twin when we decided to do this podcast episode together, but it's really fascinating to me that I have twins and you're a twin and you're probably sharing exactly what I need to hear right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. Like I have a twin brother, so it's a little different, but then at the same time, it's the same thing. But like, what is kind of your experience as a mother of twins? What's kind of your experience about doing that?
That's a really great question, especially coming from a twin. I was so excited to find out I was having twin daughters. But something that was very important to me and my husband was to make sure that each of them feels the comfort and confidence to have their own identity. So from a very young age, we did not dress them alike. The only reason they ever dressed alike is because people brought us gifts that were the same outfits, and we would we would dress our girls in them. But when I went shopping, we never bought the same thing for them. We wanted them to feel like individuals.
Mhm.
So it's been an amazing blessing. I always say my daughters are my greatest teachers, and I learned so much from each of them. And they are in their own right, whether it's because we chose to really treat them as individuals or not. They are in their own right, very unique, each of them. And while they love each other very much, they are each on their own path. So it's been exciting. I'm excited to see how, they move through the rest of their teenage years and their 20s and 30s. But I've loved being a twin mom.
Oh, absolutely. Like everyone, for being a twin personally, it's very like difficult being like bas every twin or sibling, I should say, has different paths and what's the word I'm looking for? Like passions, I would say, different things they like to do. And that's kind of how me and my brother work personally. Is like he's into sports and hang out with friends, going out, and I'm like, yeah. For me, I'm like, I love sports. Sports are really my thing. But then I'm like, I want to be in the entertainment industry. That's something I want to do. Like me and my brother have different personalities. Or he likes to go to one place, and I'm on the other side. I'm like, oh no, I don't want to go. I don't want to do that. And so like, for different people, me like oftentimes I'll get like from my family, they'll be like, oh, you and Chase or different people. I don't know how you guys are related. You don't look alike. You guys don't look like twins. Like and all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, I wonder too. Like sometimes I think, wow, like why do I have a twin? But then at the end of the day, like I come from a family of twins. So it's like a different skips like the little generation. So I'm like, well, that's kind of how my family works. So it doesn't really I can't really do much about it. So it's something that you can, I mean, it sucks at some points, but then when you really think about it, you must enjoy it because things like this don't come around often. You must kind of take it in and enjoy it.
Absolutely. And always making the best of every situation, right? And doing our best to make the best of it. So seeing the best in our siblings, seeing the best in our in your case, in your brother, and my daughter's case, in their sisters, and working with that and knowing that we get to be great together, but we also get to be great as individuals.
Yeah, absolutely. So you wrote a book called Empowered Woman, Empowered Girls. What inspired you to write that book?
Well, I really wanted to show women, because so many women are always asking me, how do I empower my daughter? Because that's what my whole business is about teaching women how to empower girls. And when they ask me, the first thing I say to them is, honestly, live an empowered life. You be the strongest, most authentic version of yourself as a mother, and know that by role modeling and leading by example, your daughter is witnessing that empowerment in you and giving you, the opportunity to show her how it's done. So
Mhm.
whether we feel that way or not in the moment, ultimately, the messaging is getting to our daughters that when we treat ourselves right, when we have self-love for ourselves and kindness for ourselves, that they too will find a way to bring that into their own lives. So it was really important for me to know that when women step into their most empowered self, they get to do that for their daughters too. So empowered women, empowered girls.
Oh, I love that. So as I kind of grew up, like I was always very kind of shy, independent girl. My mom and I was basically raised to be my true self and always kind of be my own person, even though I kind of didn't like care. I was like, I want to be around people that like I just want to be my own, like different, like a little bit different. Try to be a different person and see how it works out. Try to be a little different other than me. And
Right, right.
so, like, that's something I never liked doing. I was like, I don't want to be different, like, for people. I want to be myself and really enjoy for what I have to bring. And that's kind of how I was raised. I mean, it's always good to try something new and try to be different than yourself. But then at the end of the day, you're like, well, this is something I don't like doing. But then at the end of the day, women and girls are always discriminated for being a woman and in all these stuff, like for the way you look, your body, like the way, like in general, men are always criticizing women, especially in the entertainment industry. It's always very kind of strict and body shaming. And so, especially when you're watching movies and shows with your little girls, and like you are sitting there thinking to yourself like, why are girls not doing all these good projects, or why are all these girls not doing all these cool things, or why is men all doing the cool stuff and women aren't? And that's something that I kind of grew as I got older, kind of watched it a little bit, and sometimes I'll catch myself like looking at it. I'll be like, "Hey, mom, do you realize that like the man is doing all the work, and do you think a woman can do that? Like, do you think women can wear that, or do you think a woman can do what the man is doing?" And I shouldn't be the one saying it. And like that's something that I kind of realized. I was like, I order. I'm like, "Mom, like, do you see this problem?" And he's like, "I know I shouldn't be saying all these stuff, but then at the end of the day, this is something I really am passionate about. It's something that I really want to change." And that's something why I wanted to start a podcast, is that I wanted girls to see themselves like I didn't see myself as a little kid. Like I want to change women and girls like you're doing, and trying to inspire and help older women and young girls feel inspired by other people.
That's amazing. And again, it's so intuitive of you at this young age to be able to pick up on the patterns that we're seeing for women and for men, and to want to be a part of that change, to change things up for our next generation, because we can do better, right? And when we know that we can do better, we get to do better. And I have no doubt that you will be a voice in the female empowerment movement.
Thank you so much. So as we're kind of talking about like women and girls and all that stuff, what do you think is so important to kind of inspire young girls and women, in your personal opinion?
I think it's important to show girls that you can live a life on your own terms. You can follow your passions. You can make a living doing what you love. I do it for myself, right? But the byproduct of it is that girls who are, the girls who might be in my workshops might feel inspired because they're seeing a woman who's on her own path. And I do hope that that inspires them in this moment and in their futures to go after their own dreams, to shine bright, to not be afraid of what other people are thinking of them. So I think it's important that girls have mentors, right? That girls have mentors, whether they're mentors who they meet with every week, or their mentors who they admire from afar, someone who wrote a book, someone who's in the entertainment industry, like you are, I think it's very important to be, I feel like we are all mirrors of each other. And so to show girls the reflection of what is possible for them.
Yeah, no doubt. I totally agree with that. And like, there's so many women in the industry that are really trying to kind of change, like to make, I'm trying to find a word for it. I can't really express it that much, but like they're trying to make a movement, try to give women and girls inspiration and give them a mentor. And that's something, I don't know if you know who she is, but Gina Davis is something that she does, especially women and girls. And she does all of her stuff at Institute, and she's a personal mentor to me. I personally don't know her, but she's like a little mentor from, like, she's the reason kind of why I started this whole thing, and why I kind of realized all of the stuff for Institute and like all of her research. And every time I listen to her speak or whoever research, I'm like, okay, well, I need to do that. Like, I need to write these stuff down so I can be prepared. And I literally like saw her speak a couple of weeks ago back in North Carolina. And it was really like the most empowering thing in my life, like one of the most empowering things in my life. And like, it was like, it's just like women need more role models like that. They need more women to teach young girls, women, and people in general that women should be in this world, and that there are strong women out there and they need to have the space in the world.
Absolutely. And amen to that. And like together we can change this, right? And I love that you have a mentor. I love that you are following her work and being inspired on a daily level by the work that she's doing. So keep that up. It's amazing. And I'm sure that you may not even know it, that you are a mentor to other girls and women as well.
Thanks so much. So since kind of quarantine started back in 2020, how much do you think has changed in terms of kind of female empowerment since the pandemic started?
It's a really, really good question. I think that, there's female empowerment to me means so many things. It's definitely taking charge of our personal mental wellness, feeling good, trying to feel good, trying to, use our inner tools to be the most peaceful, kind, happy version of ourselves. And of course, throughout the pandemic, that's been a really hard thing to do, right? We all feel like we've kind of been cracked open. I actually just posted on my Instagram page about the last 2 years for me and my family and saying, like, we are all struggling in our own way, right? Like my family and every other human that I know has been, again, like really affected. And so I think there's a greater need now than ever to step into our empowerment, to figure out what that means for us, to learn about our inner tools, to use our inner tools, and to talk to other humans, like to connect about it, to help people understand that there's no stigma in struggling. Life is not meant to be a struggle, but sometimes it feels like it is. And when we get to talk about it and open up that conversation and dialogue about it, then we all feel a little bit less alone.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So, like, do you have anyone that you look up to as a person advocating for young women and girls, or just kind of in general?
I would say, like, I know this is kind of an obvious answer, but Oprah Winfrey,
Hmm.
I remember like back in the day when she started her school for girls, I was most definitely paying attention, and I was most definitely inspired by what she did. And no doubt, and it's like funny, I never even thought of this until you asked me this question. I'm sure somewhere in my mind and in my heart, the work that I'm doing was influenced by what she was doing.
Hmm.
So definitely Oprah Winfrey is one of the big ones for me, who was, is, and will continue to be one of my greatest mentors from afar until I have the opportunity to meet her in person.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Oprah Winfrey is basically a huge role model for everyone that basically knows her personally or just kind of through the social media. Like she's been a huge impact on everyone. And I remember asking my mom about her, and I remember her telling me that my sister looked up to her a couple
Mm,
years ago. I'm like, and I was like, who doesn't want to look up to Oprah? Like,
yeah.
who doesn't? Like, she always has something to say. She's always open about everything. Like, not a lot of people are very open about what they think. Like, they're always scared about like they get judged for their opinion, or just kind of worried and about everything what people will say about it. And so there's like that's something that basically everyone needs in the world is to share their opinions and try to change the world. And so, like, if it wasn't for Oprah, a lot of people probably would have done it, like, speak their minds if it wasn't for Oprah.
You're
And
so
so, like,
right.
she's just really made a huge impact ever since she basically started out a few years back. So, like, she's just really a big part of everyone's life that basically knew her personally or just kind of through the internet. It's just she's basically a big part of everyone's life.
I totally agree with that. And I think she will continue to be. She's like created a crazy, beautiful legacy for all of us.
Yeah, no doubt on my mind. So you also have a podcast called Empowering. What made empowering her? No, my bad. So what made you want to start doing that podcast?
So, sharing our voices in different unique ways. I love to speak. I love to, whether it's a Facebook Live, an Instagram Live, or a training I'm doing on Zoom. I love that spoken word, and I love the ability to connect with my audience in that way. So I decided I'm going to start empowering her, and it's going to be all about empowering women, empowering girls, empowering her, whether it's personally, like in the professional life, in our personal wellness journey. So we bring a lot of different topics to light, and it's been the greatest thing. I always say it's like my personal journal. I get to come in and talk about topics that are important to me, topics that I know my audience will appreciate. And if you'll give me the permission, I would love to put this conversation that you and I are having on the podcast so that we can introduce our audience to the beauty that is Kylie and all the incredible work that you're doing.
Absolutely, I love that. Thank you so much. Like
Sure.
this is like for everyone, this is really why I started a podcast. Like, this is like you said before, this is kind of like my personal journal. Like, it's like something like you can always share about your experiences. Like, if this were younger me personally, I'd be like, I wouldn't be doing this. Like, I was always a very shy girl. I wouldn't even like talk to people that I didn't really know, or just kind of in general. If I was at a family event, I would always talk to like 2 people. I was always just sitting there, just looking around, just enjoying myself in the atmosphere, just doing nothing. And I just feel, and like when someone talks to me, I just lower my voice. I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, they wouldn't even hear me. I was always a very shy, independent girl. And so, like, if it were younger me personally, I'd be like, heck no, I would not be doing this. Like, this is something I would never do myself doing. I hate public speaking and speaking in general. I just hate doing. And so, like, this in general, like, it's something that, like, sometimes when you figure out what you want to do, it's something, when you figure out what you want to do when you're older, it's sometimes when you're young, you don't expect yourself doing. It's just, like, when you think about it, it's something that, like, you just, like, figure out, like, oh, this is something really fun, and like, you need to grow your confidence on what you're trying to do. And, like, if like, you wouldn't know if you like it until you try it. And so this is what I was like, when I started this, I was like, why not try this? Like, I was like, I'm bored in quarantine. Let's try something new. Keep myself busy. Try a new hobby. I was like, why not? Then now, almost a year later, I'm like, okay, well, I guess this is what did I get myself into? You know what I mean? Like, what the heck did I get myself into? I guess I have to do this for the rest of my life. I even if I wanted to and everything. So it's like, it's been a little crazy journey, to be honest with you, but it's something that you really never kind of expect yourself doing in the future.
Absolutely. And it's amazing to look back and be like, well, I was shy. I didn't like public speaking. And here I am sharing my voice on a podcast. And I very much, my childhood was paralleled with what you just shared. I was very shy. I never wanted to get in front of the class and do public speaking. And look at me, here I am. And I'm using public speaking as my primary form of sharing my message. So it's amazing to look back, and I'm sure for you as well, to look back and see how much you've grown and how what you once thought was impossible was more than possible, and you're totally rocking it. Right?
You're absolutely right. So like the final question for the interview is, what is some advice for younger generations that would like to kind of empower young girls and women one day?
My goodness, I have so many messages. I would say the first message I want every young girl and woman to know is that they are powerful beyond measure. And I'm going to leave it at that, but I'll explain a little bit. I think that when I was growing up, I didn't realize the power source that lived inside of me. And as I learned and grew and evolved, I learned that, my goodness, there is so much strength and power and courage inside of me. And if I only first believe it and I'm willing to accept it, I can start using that power to be a kinder human on the planet. I can use that power to go after my passions and my dreams. I can use that power to connect with really good people in the world. And so the greatest message I would leave any young girl with, any human really, is that you are powerful beyond measure. Just believe it.
I agree. No, I agree 100%. I couldn't agree more. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast. You're amazing. I had such amazing time speaking with you. Like, I feel so empowered already with speaking with you. I just want to thank you so much for coming on again. We'll definitely speak super short. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Kylie. You are such a brilliant voice. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep going after your dreams. And I'm so excited to watch and witness all the incredible things that you continue to do.
Thank you so much. Right back at you as well. So thank you so much for coming on again.
My pleasure. Be well, Kylie.
You too as well. Bye.
Bye-bye.